What does it mean to be great? I know that's kind of a strange question, but for me, that word carries a lot of extra stuff with it. Visions of success, pressure of being the best, and the failure that comes along with it. As long as I can remember, the goal has always been to be great. I have this vision of myself on the same level as star athletes, actors, CEOs, and honestly, that's probably because the sneaker brands, the politicians, the pop culture icons have all taught me that greatness is gonna make me happy. Is it? This journey started where most good ones do, a search. What is greatness? Apparently, it's a concept of a state of exceptional superiority affecting a person or object in a particular place or area. And I guess that makes sense, but is exceptional superiority really what we're after? Is it what I'm after? As I was asking myself that question, I noticed that tacked onto the bottom of the search result was a very different definition of greatness. Now, I'm not quick to buy into religious stuff, so I've got a healthy bit of skepticism here. But greatness is about serving others? That sounds like my mom. I should probably look into this. Hey, Nicole, how you doing?
Hey, Caleb, it's good to see you.
You too. This is Reverend Dr. Nicole Martin, former professor, alumni of Vanderbilt and Princeton, author, executive director, chief operating officer. She's got a lot of titles, and she knows the Bible inside and out. If anyone can help me see the difference between this exceptional superiority kind of greatness and this different Jesus kind of greatness, it's her. So I've been looking into the idea of greatness, and that's largely because of the pressure that surrounds it. I feel like all my life, growing up, I've been expected to be great. And I know that our culture is pretty obsessed with it nowadays. I was just wondering if it's always been that way.
Well, if you look at the story of Jesus, everybody around him seemed to want him to be great. They expected him to be this conquering leader who would come and free them from all of their troubles and bring them to the top. They wanted him to be great because they also wanted to be great themselves. In fact, there's this story in the Gospel of Luke where Jesus' disciples start arguing with each other about who's going to be the greatest. So I don't think that this is new.
Oh, you mentioned that the people back then were expecting for Jesus to be some great leader. What happened there?
Well, Jesus wanted nothing to do with this earthly view of power, this kind of worldly crown. He wasn't interested in what they thought was power or authority or status. He defined greatness in a totally different way. Jesus said, to be great, you have to be humble like a child.
I don't know if that makes total sense to me, Nicole.
I understand. I am a parent. I have children. I know that they're not perfect, but I do think there are some qualities that Jesus was speaking to that children have. Like with my kids, they have this wonder, this awe, this curiosity, this humility. And I think Jesus was saying that we need to retain those qualities. And when we do, that's what it means to be great.
I see. So humility, really.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like being childlike is more of an attitude, more of a mindset, and I feel like, well, at least when I think of greatness, it's more of an accomplishment. So I was wondering if Jesus ever said anything about what it looks like to do great things.
Well, Jesus did talk about doing greatness, and he called that the great commandment, the greatest commandment. He says it's like a two-parter. The first part is to love God. And then the second part is to love your neighbor. And then he spends all this time unpacking the picture of what it looks like to love your neighbor. Do you know the story of the Good Samaritan?
The Good Samaritan. A guy gets beaten half to death. He gets left on the side of the road. Some religious guys ignore him. They don't help him out. And then the Good Samaritan comes around, helps the guy out, patches him up, pays out of his own pocket, puts him in an inn, that whole stuff, right?
Yep, that's the one. And what's wonderful about the story is Jesus says the one who's truly great is the Samaritan man. the one that goes above and beyond to take care of this dying man's need. It's really a powerful display of service. And to Jesus, that's what it means to be truly great. And then he picks the characters in the story to make that point as clear as possible. The religious guys, the Levite, the priest, they were the ones who walked by. They had privilege. They were superior. They were the powerful people. They would have been the great ones by everyone else's standards. But they weren't the heroes. And the Samaritan during that time was the least likely. This was a class of people that were reviled. They were second class. They were marginalized. But that's the one that Jesus makes the hero of his story.
Okay, yeah, it's a cool story. Don't get me wrong. It's very inspiring. But I don't know. Is it really worth it to go out of your way and help somebody like that? I don't know. Is that attainable?
I would say yes to both. I've personally seen people be that good Samaritan for me. And I think the question of how you become that kind of person is a couple of answers to that. The first answer is you do it through practice, intentionality. You make time every day, little by little, to try and serve others above your own needs. And then you cultivate that willingness to serve without expectation. But then the second part of that, and this is what I think followers of Jesus are most convinced of, and that is it's actually impossible to attain greatness by yourself. It's impossible to serve others without his help. So what about the why? What is your understanding? Why do you want to be great?
Well, for me, I guess it's to find fulfillment.
That's it right there. Jesus knew that we're all searching for fulfillment. And speaking from my own personal experience, you can get the titles, you can get to the top of the hierarchy wherever you are, and all of that will come up empty. The fulfillment you get, real fulfillment, comes from pursuing Jesus's way of humbly serving others. And that type of greatness is far more lasting, I think.
I see.
There is another time when Jesus used this word great, and he said, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. We usually think of laying down your life as like this momentary life and death sacrifice. And I think that's a real glimpse of greatness. But what if we made it our goal to live like this every day? To consistently, every day, little by little, lay down our lives for others. When you give up your time, your energy, your attention for others, that, I think, is the standard that Jesus would say is great.
Laying down your life. That's a high bar. I don't think I'm gonna let go of my other aspirations just yet. I've got to look into this a bit more. But at the very least, I know what kind of great my mom is.